All right, hi guys. Today we're starting Unit 9. It's our statistics unit, so it's a lot different than some of the other units we've done so far this semester. Um, Students typically like it because it's a lot less like mathy, like heavy, long calculations, and a little bit more reading and kind of applications and things like that. So today we're just reviewing our measures of center along with a couple visual representation of those measures of center, but things that you should be familiar with and have seen before. So we have a few examples we'll do here today. Example 1, we'll jump right into it. So we're going to look at some different calculations. It says the following data represents the numbers of points scored by the winning team in the Super Bowl for the last 10 years. So here's all of our data. Now we're going to determine the indicated statistical measures. So we have 4 terms here. Hopefully these all are familiar with for you as you look at them. And we do have the definitions, or like some very basic versions of the definitions written out. So we'll start with the mean. Mean is like saying average. You guys always ask me what the average on your test was. That would be calculating the mean. Typically we do it by finding the sum of all data points, so adding up all these numbers, and then dividing that by however many data points there are. So in your calculator, you can add up 43 plus 34 plus 21 plus 31 plus 31 plus 27 plus 17 plus 29 plus 21 plus 24. All right, so we get 278, so that's the total amount. And then I'm going to divide that by the number of pieces of data we have. So we have 10 data points. So I'm going to divide that by 10. When I do that, I can go over my calculator, divide it by 10. I get 27.8. So our average for this data set for our points scored in the Super Bowl, is 27.8. Okay. All right. So next we have our median. Sorry. So the median is the middle number of your data set, so the middle data point. Now to find the median, you're going to want to put all your pieces of data in order from your smallest number to the biggest number. So let's put them in order here. Smallest number is 17, and then I have 21. I had 21 again, 24, then 27, 29, 31, 31, 34, and 43. Now, I've done this already, so it's a little bit faster here for the sake of this video lesson, but when you're doing it on your own, take your time. I would cross them off on your regular list as you use them so you can keep track. To find the middle here, you might remember this strategy from learning median a long time ago. You'll start at your lower end, cross off the first number, then go to the other end, cross it off, and go back and forth until you get to the middle. This just makes it more precise than just like looking at the data and saying, well, that looks like the middle. Now, what happens here is I actually ended up with 2 numbers in the middle. Because I have 10 pieces of data total, I'm going to have an even number of data points, so I have 2 in the middle instead of just 1. Now, that means we actually want to find the middle of those 2. We're going to calculate it so you have a strategy that works for every problem. Basically, you're just going to go back and find the mean of these 2 points. So we'll have 27 plus 29 divided by 2. And when we do that, we get 56 divided by 2. So the middle is 28. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because this works no matter what data set you're looking at. If you have an even number of pieces of data, you can find the average. It's really easy for this one to say, well, yeah, 28 is right in the middle of 27 and 29. Okay. Our mode is our most common data point. So when I look at my list from the median, I see 21 happens twice and 31 happens twice. So that means I actually have 2 modes because they're both tied. So we'll say 21 and 31 because they're tied for happening the most often. Lastly, our range is our maximum value minus our minimum. So in this case, 43 minus 17 gives us a range of 26. It's telling us like how spread out the data is. Okay, so our range is a measure of spread more than center, but still belongs in this group. All right, so let's look at example 2. Okay, you will need your graphing calculator for this example. It won't work on your phone. It's going to do some statistic calculations here. So it says, given the following data, find the 5-number summary and create a box plot using your graphing calculator. Now, this is our data. It's final exam scores. We're going to look at something called the 5-number summary. It's exactly like it sounds, 5 numbers that kind of give us an overall summary of the data, a couple different pieces of information. Now here are the buttons we'll have to click on our calculator. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is enter all of this data into my list. This is very similar to what we did last unit. So we'll go through the buttons here, click Stat right here. We're going to edit, so we're already on edit, so I'll click enter. And then I'm going to enter the data into L1. Now you might have stuff in L1, so I'm going to scroll all the way to the top to highlight L1, click clear, and click enter. Now it's empty, so I'm going to enter that data, 68, click enter, 70, click enter. I want you to pause the video for a minute, finish entering the data on your own, and I'll finish entering the data on here as well, and then press play when you're done. All right, I have all of my data entered into L1, so now I'm on step 2. So I need to click Stat again, and then this time I want to scroll over to Calc, and I actually want option number 1. It says 1 var stats. That means 1 variable stats, so I'm going to click Enter. It should say L1 here for your list. If it doesn't for whatever reason, you can get L1 if that's where your data is by clicking second, then 1. So because it's L1, that's good. I'm going to click enter, enter, enter until the calculation pops up. Now you have a lot of stuff here at the top. We don't need this stuff quite yet. We're actually going to scroll down to find our 5-number summary. So I'm looking for where it starts with the word min, right? That's our first number. And then I'm going to record them on my 5-number summary over here. So my minimum, 68. Q1, that's quartile 1. Is 80. That just means it's the median of the lower half of the data. The median of all of the data is 82. Q3, 86. And the maximum is 99. Okay, so now that we have our 5-number summary, I'm going to use that to create my box plot. So I have this line down here for you guys to help you out a little bit. This line is going to help us build our box plot, but we need to label the bottom with a range that includes all the numbers from our 5-number summary. So I don't have to have tick marks for each one. I don't need to start at 0. So I'm going to start in a way that makes it easiest for me. So if I start at like 60, that's a little bit below the minimum, and then I can count by 5s. I can cover everything in my data set. And 100 is fine. My line's a little long, no big deal there. Now to do the actual box plot, I'm going to need to draw lines kind of up in this space up here. This is where the actual box plot goes. So I'm going to change color. So I need to just put a vertical line for each number in my summary. So 68, we're going to estimate a little bit right about here. 80, 82, 86, and 99. Now I can label them so I remember where they came from. Q1, median, Q3, and my max. Now the box comes from the middle 3 numbers. We draw a box around them, just like this. And instead of extending that box all the way to the edges, we draw what people call whiskers. Sometimes this is called a box and whisker plot. They kind of look like whiskers sticking off the box, showing you where the minimum and maximum are. All right. And then the last thing we want to do is label this. So I'm actually going to use my text feature here. This was final exam scores. And then down here, we had our actual scores. Okay, make sure you always have labels on your graphs. All right, question B here, it says, which measure of center is easiest to find from the box plot? So when I look at my box plot between mean, median, and mode, well, median, it's already calculated right here. So median is definitely the easiest. Whoops. And in this case, the median value was 82. All right, next we're going to create a dot plot. So our dot plot is kind of like a box plot in that it is a visual representation of the data, but it's showing you the frequency of each data point. Okay, so rather than calculating anything, we're literally just counting how many times each different data point happens. So this is a survey about how many hours of sleep some students got. Now, just glancing at it, I want to first find my minimum and max to kind of help me label. So it looks like my minimum is 5 and my max is 11. So I'm going to label my axis here. This time I actually do need to cover all points from 5 to 11. I can't skip any, but I still don't need to start at 0. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Again, my line's a little long, no big deal. All right, so I'm going to literally just draw dots for how many times each answer happened. Okay, so for example, for an answer of 5, I look at my list. Okay, I see it here once, so I'm only going to draw 1 dot. I'm going to do the same thing. 6, here's 1, 2, 3. I don't see it anymore, so I'll draw 3 dots, and we stack them vertically to show, okay, that's how many times somebody answered 6 hours. All right, so pause the video and see if you can draw the rest of the dots. All right, so here's my dot plot. Now I had 6 happen 3 times, 7 happen 8 times, then 2, 2, 1, and 1. Now if, let's say there was, like for 8 hours, let's say nobody said 8 hours, you would still have an 8 here, but it would just be blank above it, okay? So which measure of center is easiest to find? So our 3 measures of center, mean, median, or mode. Now mode, remember mode is the most common, median is the middle, mean is the average. This is frequency. So just glancing at this picture, I can see that the most common response was 7. That means the mode is the easiest. That was 7. Okay, it's harder to find the mean or the median just from the dot plot by itself. And lastly here, I know this should be, the example numbers are all messed up. This should actually be example 3. This time we're giving you a dot plot and you're going to create your own box plot. So I'll get you started and then I'll have you guys finish this one on your own. To help you get started, the dot plot, remember if I'm going backwards and I want to convert this back to just a list of numbers so that I can type it in my calculator, the dots show how many times that answer happened. So somebody said they exercised 0 hours once. So I'm going to put 0, comma, then 3, then 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, and then 9. So follow the steps we did above and see if you can make the box plot. So pause the video, draw your box plot after you find the 5-number summary, and then check. All right, here's my box plot. So you can see my 5-number summary over here, and then my box plot down here. Make sure that you are labeling your title, so the exercise per week, and then my numbers down here represent hours, okay? And then lastly, you have a vocab chart that you can use throughout this unit, so take some time to read through that to refer back to the vocab we talked about today.